Zaahen. Zaahen is the Darkin glaive. In the latest League of Legends cinematic, Twilight's End, Xin Zhao willingly becomes the host of Zaahen. He then defeats the demon Atakan with a single slice of his glaive. So who is Zaahen? How powerful is he, and where does he come from? Zaahen was once a respected human warrior. He was born in Shurima, a powerful empire that spanned the farthest reaches of the southern continent. It's the homeland of the ascended god warriors, also known as the Sunborn. The Sunborn are humans who are magically altered by the Sun Disk, an ancient celestial megastructure built with the aid of Mount Targon. Zaahen too rose among their ranks, an ascended shaped in the likeness of an eagle, born to watch over the empire he would later be forced to confront. During the Void War, a massive battle between the Voidborn and the Ascended ensued. Many Sunborn experienced unspeakable horrors and trauma. Those who survived were only shells of their former selves. The mental scarring of war was too much to bear. The surviving Ascended became the Darkin, a group of corrupted god warriors wielding blood magic and wanting to conquer the world. Unlike most Ascended, Zaahen was able to retain most of his sanity after the war. He fought against his corrupted brothers and sisters, and learned that Darkin can be sealed into weapons. With this knowledge, he aided the warriors of the Kinku Order in the War of the False Count Mei, also known as the Great Darkin War. The Kinku Order includes figures such as Yunara, Kennen, and Shen. With Zaahen's aid, they sealed the Darkin into their weapons. After the war ended, Zaahen feared that he too would eventually become like his fallen siblings, and asked to be sealed within a glaive in the Temple of Twilight. Thousands of years later, he would be revived in the events of Twilight's End through Xin Zhao. Xolaani. Xolaani is the Darkin bloodletters. She was born in Shurima and was the daughter of a healer. During Ikatia's rebellion against Shurima, Xolaani decided to follow in her father's footsteps and become a healer herself, aiding those who suffered during the war. Seeing firsthand the horrors that conflict brought, she held Shurima's leadership accountable for the pointless wars that they waged. Because of this, the priests of the Sun Disk deemed her worthy of ascension, and she later became a powerful ascended god warrior. During the Void War, similarly to many other Ascended, Xolaani was consumed by madness and became a Darkin. Once a benevolent healer, Xolaani now believed that the only way to end the pointless wars was to forcefully unite the world and put everyone under her control. Her plan, however, failed, and she was later sealed in her chain sickle in Ionia by the Kinku Order and Zaahen. For several centuries, Xolaani was locked away in her bloodletters. She would eventually be discovered by Master Yi and his order, and sealed away within his temple. Kain, who had discovered the weapon's location, attacked the temple, seeking to claim the power of a second Darkin weapon. This ended in the death of Yi's new order, with the exception of his protege, June. Unable to protect the temple, she gave in to Xolaani's whispers, taking up the blades to try and save herself and her master. In an instant, June was lost, with Xolaani completely claiming her as a vessel. After acquiring a new body, Xolaani would make her way back to Shurima to grow her power at the Altar of Blood, an ancient temple maintained by her devoted disciples. As Xolaani grew more powerful, she took up a new form and continued to corrupt and enslave anyone in her path. The aspect of justice descended to the world, with a divine army to end Xolaani's conquest. With the help of Rhaast and the World Rune, Xolaani was defeated once and for all. Rhaast. Rhaast is the Darkin scythe. Unlike the other Darkin, who have a clear purpose for their carnage, Rhaast takes an almost childish joy in his quest for destruction and bloodshed. He is said to be one of the 5 Darkin that will bring ruin to the world when they reunite. The other members of this group are Aatrox, Varus, Neferi, and an unnamed 5th Darkin. Just as the others of his kind were, Rhaast was imprisoned into his weapon of choice, a scythe. After getting sealed, his scythe was buried within Ionia, where he was kept for centuries until eventually getting found by Noxian forces during the Ionian invasion. A young assassin named Kain found Rhaast's scythe after being ordered to retrieve it by Zed, the leader of the Order of Shadows. Upon taking the weapon, Kain was mesmerized by the scythe's presence and chose to embrace its corruption. Instead of bringing the weapon back to Zed, Kain chose to conquer the Darkin's power and claim it as his own. Rhaast, however, did not fully embrace his new host. Because of this, Kain and Rhaast live in a competitive symbiosis, with the 2 forces constantly battling for dominance over each other's power. Aatrox. Aatrox is the Darkin Blade. He was the first among the Darkin to find freedom after being sealed. He now seeks apocalyptic and long overdue vengeance. A long time ago, Aatrox was born as a human in Shurima. He became a champion of the Empire, a noble warrior willing to sacrifice everything for his people. For this reason, he was one of the first that was brought before the Sun Disk, the megalithic structure that grants celestial powers. As an Ascended, Aatrox had wings as golden as the light of dawn, and his armor sparkled like a constellation of hope. He was one of the most powerful Ascended, and had defeated many powerful beings, such as the spirit gods, or at least some of them. During the Void War, Aatrox played a pivotal role in Shurima's defense. He fought admirably and selflessly. The horrors that he experienced during that time, however, scarred him and even led to the loss of his wings. After the fall of the Shuriman Empire, the remaining Ascended started fighting between each other for power, driven to madness because of the terrors of the Void. This conflict is now remembered as the Great Darkin War. Aatrox was one of, if not the most powerful among their kind, and sought to bring ruin to Runeterra. The fate of the world was in danger, so the celestial beings of Mount Targon decided to intervene. The aspect of war, also known as Pantheon, led an army of mortals against the Darkin. This ultimately led to the imprisonment of Aatrox, as he was sealed in his sword. Hundreds of years later, an unknown mortal man found Aatrox's sword. Immediately after, he was taken over by Aatrox, but something was wrong. The host was too weak to withstand his essence. After his awakening, Aatrox possessed man after man, seeking a host powerful enough to contain him. Years passed, and he eventually realized that he cannot return to his ascended form. If he could not truly free himself from his blade, he would instead seek to end all of existence. Now, with a new purpose, Aatrox marched, bringing war and death wherever he went. There's a lot more to Aatrox's story, which I could not cover in this video without making it too long. If you'd like me to make a separate video covering all lore related to Aatrox, please let me know in the comments. Taarosh. Taarosh is the Darkin halberd. He was one of the Darkin that sided with Aatrox against Xolaani. During the Great Darkin War, Xolaani was using her powers to put other Darkin under her control. This infuriated Aatrox, and he sought to destroy her.
You will obey your general, coward!
No, you will obey your blood.
There she is! The coward of Acacia!
Closer, Aatrox. Come to me.
At Mount Targon, Taarosh nearly defeated Xolaani in her initial form. She was saved by the intervention of the aspect of Twilight, as they were both sealed. He was then entrusted to the Blessed Isles and sealed within the vaults of Helia. As centuries passed, he longed for the day where he could finish what he had started with Xolaani. Taarosh's chance would come when Aatrox awakened the remaining Darkin. Filled with purpose again, Taarosh reached out and was able to lure a local dragon into making contact with his halberd. After acquiring a new body, Taarosh sought to find Xolaani. After finding her though, and despite his best efforts, Taarosh fell short of Xolaani's new power and was defeated. Varus. Varus is the Darkin bow. He is a sadistic and egotistical killer that loves to torture and play with his victims. Just like all other Darkin, Varus was born as a human in Shurima. He was a paragon of loyalty and honor, a skilled archer that was dedicated to protecting his homeland. After the events of the Great Darkin War, Varus was defeated by a group of Vestaeans and mages who served a golden-armored queen. He was sealed in his bow and was afterwards used by the queen, even though she was aware of the danger of wielding a Darkin weapon. With Varus in hand, the warrior queen traveled to the First Lands and gave a final command to her followers to seal her within a well beneath the mountain temple at Pallas, sacrificing herself and imprisoning Varus within the magical well. For centuries, Varus remained hidden within the well, untouched and mostly forgotten. The people of Pallas remained as custodians to the temple, though largely forgetting the ancient history surrounding it. At one point, a skilled Ionian hunter named Vomar, alongside his lover Kai, traveled to Pallas to visit Vomar's family. While being near the sacred temple, they faced the first wave of Noxian invaders. Vomar and Kai fought back the invaders, leading to Kai getting mortally wounded. Now, filled with fear and grief, Vomar began to hear whispers coming out of the forbidden well within the temple. He succumbed to Varus's persuasion and carried Kai into the well, believing that the forbidden magic can restore his lover. As the two swam within the well, Varus took over both of them and remade their mortal bodies into a brand new one. Varus emerged from the well as a unique creature with pale, inhuman beauty, a hybrid of human and Darkin. Joraal. Joraal is the Darkin Aegis. He served as the master tactician of the Ascended Army, holding the moniker of the Aegis of Eternity. Joraal had an impenetrable body, which could shrug off any attack. But as the war against the Void raged on, and as resilient as his body was, it was his mind that broke, making him suffer from constant fear and relive the events of the war. This is how he became a Darkin. He was later imprisoned in his Aegis. After hundreds of years passed, the Aegis found its way to Fortis, one of the noble houses of Demacia. For generations, House Fortis would guard the Aegis, being aware of its ominous presence. The head of the house, Lady Fortis, instructed her son to guard the shield and warned him to never touch it. But after hearing Joraal's petite voice calling to him, he eventually touched the Aegis and became Joraal's host. Styraatu. Styraatu is the Darkin harp. As the Targonians pondered where they should scatter the Darkin weapons, one suggestion was the caverns of the land that would later become known as Zaahen. The Darkin harp was buried deep within the walls of the winding passageways below Zaahen, far from human reach, but not far from the reach of the Chireans. The Chireans are a bat-like humanoid species living in the sump levels of Zaahen. A notable example is Scar from Arcane. Chireans have inhabited Zaahen for years and evolved to survive in its hostile environment. It was a Chirean who found Styraatu's harp in the crevices of Zaahen's tunnels. Styraatu took over the Chirean's body and burst through the processing plant below which the harp was hidden. Filled with rage and madness, she sought to find Aatrox to rejoin him and fulfill their apocalyptic vision.